Alrighty then, here we are to Doctor Who Series 7, and unfortunately, I'm going to be splitting these reviews up into 3 parts, not 2. 3 parts meaning the first part with Karen Gillan, Arthur Darvill, and Matt Smith, all in their respective roles, and that's their finale, so to speak. Then I'll review the Christmas special, then I will review Jenna Louise Coleman as the new companion for the Doctor. So, here we go. In terms of the series overall, this one is very interesting, not just because they split it up into 3 parts, but mostly because in the middle they have a departure of a companion that we have been used to for some time. Whether you liked or hated them, that's one thing, but if you enjoyed them, it's pretty heartbreaking, to be honest. Midway through, we're introduced to a new companion for a Christmas special, and then it's given us more context as to who this girl is to the Doctor, and it becomes interesting because this is the first time in a while that they have decided to do single, solitary episodes without a real huge overarching plot. And the first one to top us all off is the Asylum of the Daleks, where Amy, Rory, and the Doctor are apprehended by the Daleks to take care of a planet that has insane Daleks. Huh? And it's actually a really interesting idea. I mean, if you think about it, these were the Daleks that are feared creatures all around the universe, and yet they have ones they can't even control? Whoa. And when they called the Doctor in, there's a very interesting plot that takes place that allows the Doctor to do something down on this planet where all these Daleks are taken and just kind of kept there. And I think it's probably one of my favorite storylines to date. It really has a lot of good emotion, it has a lot of great things going for it, concepts explored, and there really isn't that many plot holes except for Amy and Rory's divorce. And that's about it. Followed up by that is dinosaurs on a spaceship, and that actually is kind of silly into itself, but it was a story revolved around a concept, and I think it's a concept that works well, where there's a spaceship that comes down to Earth, and the Doctor has to go in, find out what's in there, and once he does, he's not necessarily put up against a dilemma as just a opposing force that creates a problem for the Doctor, but overall a very fun episode. And thus now we have a town called Mercy. This next episode is very interesting because it is actually where the Doctor and his companions find themselves in the middle of a conflict that's not theirs, where there's a man or an alien named Jex who found himself in a town called Mercy and settles there and helps them kind of thrive as a society a little bit. But while they have a big problem of the gunslinger coming around killing people for whichever reason. Overall, great episode, but not the best in execution, so it's fairly interesting to see how things come about, but you're left going, it's cool. And now we're exploring a sort of perspective on where the companions are and where the Doctor is. We see how the Doctor just keeps moving every single chance he gets. And then we have things like the companions and what life they have outside of the Doctor, and when they come in being bombarded by the Doctor, what they're giving up, to see that they actually slowed down a little bit for Amy and Rory's perspective, only to have an alien invasion on Earth for the Doctor to see. And it only has to cause him to slow down a little bit and find out what's really going on, because it's worldly affecting everybody. And it's very interesting to see how we as a human race decide to adapt to certain things. It causes some interesting social commentary, so to speak. And overall, I rather enjoy the Power of 3, especially when the cubes appear out of nowhere to everyone in every household. Though I would say the one thing that lingers for me is the ending. It doesn't quite wrap things up neatly, but it does it quickly, and doesn't really leave you so satisfied as you were when you were enjoying the episode overall. And now we come to Amy and Rory's finale. Not the finale, but a finale, a departure finale. It's a little bit of a mixed bag, to be honest, where you have to explain a few things. The Angels take Manhattan. The Angels are back in the 1930s. That's when the Doctor starts reading this book that just so happens to be written by a certain character, River Song. And this prompts the Doctor to go down into the 1930s and see what River's up to. Alas, everyone is involved. We have Amy, River, Rory, and the Doctor. They're all doing various things to try and deal with this situation, because where the angels are taking you back into the past and making you live to death and feeding off that energy of what you could have been potentially. And that's where it gets crazy. Though there's a certain overarching idea that if you see what your fate is in the future compared to the past, your fate is sealed. In the end, it does result in Amy and Rory finally saying their goodbyes to the Doctor, which has plot holes galore, but at the same time it has some emotional heft. To some, you may cry. To others, you may go, ugh, that's a little messed up. To me, I was one of those. I was like, ugh, it's a little messed up. But overall, it just has a little bit of mixed emotions throughout the entire thing. And Rory and Amy do have some sort of proper send-off, give or take a few nitpicks, and thus, unfortunately, leads us to a very depressed Doctor. And that's where we're left with until the Christmas special. And that is, of course, where I'm going to leave you. Doctor is now alone. Now, we've seen him that way before. Yeah. So, what happens next? What's going to happen? Tune in to my review for the Christmas special in the next couple of days. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you did enjoy, and I will see you again in a couple of days.